Do you find I know I've noticed that a lot of artists and musicians and different people that do different kind of creative work, some a lot of them become so passionate about it that they actually find that certain kinds of art of their of whatever their field is make them like annoyed or angry or upset because like you think about it, I always ask this question because I'm that way and I'm trying to stop. Like with music, I there's some music I'm just like, oh my god, I cannot believe this is even on the radio, or I can't
Yeah,
believe
yeah,
people listen to it.
yeah.
Like, is there a kind of art? I know it's probably hard to say this because you're probably like, well, I don't want people to think I'm a jerk or whatever, but I don't. I just wonder, do you have any kind of thing that just bugs you? Like, why is that popular? Why? How do people do that? Why are
What
people liking it?
bugs me is not so much the art, the fact that people have given a certain artist or certain kind of art attention, and I'm thinking, why are people applauding this? What is wrong with them? Like, why are they doing that? Yeah, that's mostly what it is. Why is this art getting so much attention? And it's not the artist just paints.
Mm,
The people who are giving all the attention, and same thing in music, of course. Why
right,
is this person considered so good? Yeah,
right.
I don't think they're good at
So if
all.
someone takes a bucket of paint and splashes it on a canvas with a jet engine behind them, you're like, that's good.
Oh man, that has changed so much over the years. There's a famous story. There was after World War II in Europe, there was a group of artists who reacted to all the devastation and violence, and they called themselves the Cobra group, and that was the first letters of Copenhagen, Brussels, and Amsterdam, Cobra. And they were violently abstract painters, most of them. And there was one guy, Karl Appel, he was from Amsterdam, and he just threw the paint, and they were vague images, but very distorted and almost cartoon-like, but also mostly vibrant, intense color. And there was a story, I don't know if it's true, and there was a man walked into a gallery of a room in a museum, and there was a man standing staring at a big Karl Appel painting. And the man came in and stood next to him and looked at the painting and snorted and said, "My kid could do that." And the man who had already been standing in front of the painting looked at him. He said, "But your kid didn't do it. I did it." It was Karl Appel who was standing there. And he
Nice.
was, it's easy to
Whoops.
say when someone else has had the balls to the nerve to just say, "I don't know if
Mm,
anyone's going to like this, but here it goes."
that's a good point. I like
Yeah.
that. I like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Um, and I remember once going to the Whitney Biennial in New York. That's a show at the Whitney Museum in New York. I think it's every year for 2 years, of the best contemporary art. And I went there with an artist who was well known at the time, who was in the collection. And he said, "I'm going this way, and you go that way, and we'll meet and we'll talk." And he said, "Okay." So it was my first time there, and my views on art were still pretty narrow then. And I was looking around and going, I don't understand any of this. But there were like a couple of things made me smile, made me laugh. And so we met again at the end, and he said, "Well, what was your impression?" I said, "I saw two things I kind of liked." "So good for you. That's a lot." And I said, "Oh, okay. So you saw two things. Great." I said, "Oh, okay. I thought I was supposed to understand and like the whole thing. Okay, that's nice you said that. Okay."
Oh wow. I may have taken you, or maybe taken you off track, or you may have said a name I don't recognize. But do you have a
Right.
painter from?
Yeah, sure. Rembrandt. That's who I copied at the Metropolitan Museum, and Frans Hals. Those were artists living right about at the same time. Rembrandt in Amsterdam, Frans Hals in Haarlem. Frans Hals was older, and they never met each other. I mean, I can drive there now in 15 minutes, but they never met each other. They were in two separate cities,
Oh wow.
and they were both 17th century painters. And Frans Hals mostly portraits, Rembrandt portraits, but also biblical paintings and landscapes. But those are the first painters that really fell in love with. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
What's it like to fall in love with paintings like that? Like, I mean, obviously music for me, but what like what do you do? Do you get a book or like I just don't
Well,
understand what it's
I
like.
go to the museum and you just stand there for instance, I remember there was a painting by Rohir van der Weyden. That is a Flemish painter, and I think 15th century, something like that. And we were in the Prado in Madrid. And I rounded a corner and had a long view of a big painting that was Christ being lowered from the cross, and he's coming from the cross like this, and below him, his mother Mary has just fainted, and she's in the same position as her son. Of course, I recognized all this afterward. When I first saw it, I was nailed to the floor, and tears started welling up in my eyes. I had no idea why. I just kept looking. I looked for like half an hour, and then suddenly things started registering. I saw the double mirroring of her son. I saw that all the people around were helping her, helping the body of Jesus, and I realized that Jesus had just died, and his mother was unconscious. She had fainted. So they were in this sort of place together, almost like in fainting, she was with her son for a little while, and then out of reality. And all these things started registering for me, looking at this painting. And then I started reading the composition, because with a realist painting, especially the masters, they were great abstract painters. In the Western world, we tend to look at paintings like we look from left to right. So there's always a place you can see, okay, we start here, they make you look here, they make you look there, they make you look there, they make you look here, and then you end here. They make your eye move through the painting. And they do that with an abstract idea. And then they say, okay, let's fill it in with fur and flesh and light, and make it visually readable for people. But the structure is very abstract.
Oh wow, that's interesting. It's very similar to photography.
Mm.
I guess that makes sense.
Sure, sure.